Did the Super Bowl save the NFL? Originally known as the AFL-NFL World Championship, the Super Bowl was more than just a contest between two teams. It was a battle between the two leagues from whence they came. Originally played in the 1966 season, the Super Bowl came to represent the intense rivalry between the old guard National Football League and the upstart American Football League. How did the NFL inadvertently create the AFL? What series of events fanned the flames between the two leagues to the point where they both almost collapsed? What role did the Super Bowl play in putting out the fire? These are the stories of the 6 Super Bowls that could have happened, but never did. When the NFL was established in the 1920s, their biggest competitor was actually college football. 30 years passed, and by the time the 1950s rolled around, the NFL began to challenge Major League Baseball for America's favorite sport. They were a regional league, and if it wasn't for the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers, the Green Bay Packers actually would have been the furthest team to the West. They wanted to protect the recent success that they were having. So when a 26-year-old by the name of Lamar Hunt came in and asked for an expansion team in his hometown of Dallas, they respectfully turned him down. Little did they know that they would be creating their biggest rival league. In 1959, Lamar Hunt had unsuccessfully tried to buy the NFL's Chicago Cardinals. He also had his request for an NFL expansion team denied. Having deep pockets and many connections, Hunt approached other people who had tried to buy the Cardinals about forming a new league. On August 14, 1959, the American Football League was formed. Hunt now had his own team, the Dallas Texans, and another man from the same state, Bud Adams, was the owner of the very first AFL champions, the Houston Oilers. Bud Adams was also co-founder of the AFL. This 10-gallon hat-wearing cowboy saw his Houston Oilers roll through the AFL with former NFL quarterback George Blanda and rookie running back Billy Cannon. The AFL's Oilers lured Cannon away from the NFL's Rams with a higher-paying contract. This aggressive move was arguably part of a chain reaction that led to the NFL-AFL merger. On the other side, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Green Bay Packers in the NFL Championship. This would be the only time Green Bay's legendary coach Vince Lombardi would ever lose a game in the postseason, and more importantly, the first time that Philadelphia won a title since their coach was named Greasy Neal. After the 1960 season, the commissioner of the American Football League, Joe Foss, was already calling for a world playoff game between the AFL and the NFL. If the NFL accepted the invitation, it would have been the first Super Bowl and would have featured the Houston Oilers versus the Green Bay Packers. The Houston Oilers finished the 1961 season on top of the AFL for the second year in a row. Over in the NFL, Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers won their first championship of the 1960s and started their dynasty. A scheduling anomaly saw the NFL champions beating the brand new Minnesota Vikings in back-to-back weeks. By 1960, the NFL hadn't added any teams in 7 years since the Baltimore Colts joined the league in 1953. Remember how they refused to grant any expansion teams? Well, the NFL changed their minds. They essentially declared war by granting teams to cities that the AFL considered theirs. After they put the Cowboys in Dallas in 1960 and failed to get a team running in Houston, the Vikings were the second expansion team in 2 seasons. The ownership group of Minnesota had already agreed to start a team in the AFL, and then they switched to the NFL instead. Remember Lamar Hunt? All he wanted was a football team. He ended up creating the AFL for his Dallas Texans to play in. Then the NFL assigned the expansion Cowboys to his same city a year after Hunt asked for an expansion team. Having 2 squads in the same city split the fan base and proved to be too much of a financial burden to the teams. The Dallas Texans won the AFL championship and then moved north to become the Kansas City Chiefs in the following season. Their opponent in a hypothetical Super Bowl would have been the Green Bay Packers. The 2 franchises would meet 4 years later in the very first Super Bowl. In '61, the Packers steamrolled the rest of the NFL on the way to their repeat championship. On average, they outscored every team they beat by 19 points. The Chicago Bears won their last NFL championship until 1985. The Bears were historically great on defense, allowing only 10 points per game and forcing 36 interceptions. San Diego's AFL championship was their only title to this date. Their coach, Sid Gelman, was a pioneer of watching game film. In the beginning, he would edit the film himself. The Buffalo Bills captured their first AFL championship with their excellent run defense and an offense that led the league in total yards, passing yards, and total points. The Cleveland Browns won their 4th and final NFL championship to this day by defeating the Baltimore Colts. Their Hall of Fame running back Jim Brown played 1 more season, but then retired to keep working on the Hollywood movie The Dirty Dozen. The AFL wasn't the first league to challenge the NFL's football dominance. Before the AFL, there was the All-America Football Conference, and their perennial champion, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns were so good that even after the All-America Football Conference folded in 1949, they joined the NFL. Cleveland went on to win the NFL championship in 3 of the next 6 years. The NFL had held off a competitor league, but the AFL proved to be a bigger challenge. The Buffalo Bills won their second AFL championship behind their stellar defense. The Packers took the NFL title in a newly renamed Lambeau Field. They played a tie-break playoff game against the Colts before defeating the Browns in the championship game. This was the last season without a Super Bowl. Throughout the past 6 years, the AFL and NFL had gotten into bidding wars over the same players. The AFL was smaller, but its owners generally had more money outside of football. The NFL, on the other hand, made more money on game day because they drew bigger crowds. Neither league, however, was going to be able to pay for the inflated player salaries that they were creating. It was known behind closed doors that the two biggest football leagues could fold if nothing was done. The owner of the NFL's Dallas Cowboys, Tex Schramm, ran into Lamar Hunt in Dallas in 1966, and the two created an agreement to merge the struggling leagues. In 1959, when NFL Commissioner Bert Bell was approached by the future owners of the AFL teams, he denied their request for expansion. His thoughts echoed the thoughts of the other NFL owners. For the first time in the league's 40-year history, it was financially stable. Taking on new teams was a risky prospect that the NFL didn't want to explore. Ironically, because of the AFL's willingness to take risks, the NFL was essentially forced to add 14 expansion teams by the 1970 season. The merger of the old guard NFL with the upstart AFL to form the new and improved NFL made the league into the unstoppable force that we know and love today. The Super Bowl was the on-ramp for the two leagues to merge together, and the success of this annual championship game saved the NFL.
Hi, this is Chris. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and you would like more videos where I change one thing about the past so we can find a different way to history, please subscribe and do all the things, and I'll see you in the next